What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're slowly closing in on that opening match for the Rugby Championship 2023. We're continuing on with our little videos of checking out the squads that have been named to play for the teams. We've already done New Zealand and Argentina up to this point. This one's going to be about Australia. Before we jump in, of course, we do also have the SUPERBRU running alongside the Rugby Championship as it's going on. There's a whole video that'll show you how to sign up to the SUPERBRU. If you've never used it, it's free. It's just jump straight in and join in. Or if you already know what you're doing with your SUPERBRU stuff, I'll just drop the codes down in the description of this video and you can just jump in and we can all enjoy a bit of a Southern Hemisphere international rugby. Now, as we've been doing for the rest of the videos, they're sort of more short form, condensed, just here's the team and some just sort of initial thoughts I've been doing. I'm never going to claim to know everything about Southern Hemisphere rugby, but Australia, an interesting team going into this year's one, of course, had that 40% win record last year, even with how many injuries they had throughout that year. They still managed to win 40% of the games. Wasn't good enough. Coach has gone. Eddie Jones has come in. He's been trying to make some new shifts, some new changes. Eddie Jones was also coaching the Barbarians for a portion of time, so took him away from Australia. There's a whole lot going on, but Australia are one of the teams that I'm really looking forward to see how they progress towards that World Cup with the way the pools are organised and stuff. Australia might actually have a better chance than a lot of people thought. There's a really interesting video on a channel about rugby about that somewhere if you want to go check that one out as well. So checking out the team then, I thought I'd switch up the camera because Australia released this really cool graphic, which I really like as a way to show off the team. We don't have enough stuff like this in rugby. Like, I've actually seen a couple of people after this graphic came out of people saying, where can I buy this, like as like a sticker album or like stuff. We need more cool stuff like this in rugby. I don't think they are doing it as anything, you know, tangible you can buy, but I do like it as a graphic. The only downside I would say, as I sort of mentioned in the New Zealand video, put the players in order of how they play. For some of us that are based in the UK, you might not know quite as much about the Southern Hemisphere teams. It would make it far more useful to have players put in an actual order of the positions they play, rather than just sort of scattered around everywhere. So all I can really do is scan through the team and talk about it as we go. But I thought it'd be cool to show off the graphics that they have made for it. So a big pack named by Australia. A lot of people that were suffering injuries and stuff last year have managed to come back. They've still got quite a long injury list, to be fair. I was looking at the injury list they got. We've still got people like Isaac Rodder missing, Corey Toole's not there, Langley Gleeson, Andrew Kellaway, Samu Karevi, Jordan Pataya. There's a lot of people missing who are injured or / they are like in the team, but they're in like rehabilitation, so they might be able to get in towards the end of the series or towards the World Cup. But they're still missing quite a few names, but still a pretty good little pack here going on. So in terms of who you'd actually get to start in your opening game versus the Springboks, a tough old opening game for them. James Slibber's been named co-captain alongside Michael Hooper, so I assume James Slibber will be taking, I assume, Loosehead, and you would have someone like Alan Alatoa in terms of your tight head. Now, Faingar isn't named anywhere in this team. I can't see him on any injury list, so I can only imagine that he's been dropped because of form, but he's not named in the team. So I guess you'd be looking at someone like David Parecki to step up in terms of your hooker for your front row. I'm not sure if anyone knows what's going on with Faingar. Feel free to drop that down in the comment section. Your lock department's still wavering a little bit, which is a bit of a shame for this Australian team. I sort of mentioned it last year. They had so many key injuries to key lock departments that there was people like Nick Frost jumping in. Jed Holloway can play a lock as well. But low caps, they haven't really got, solid structured 30, 40, 50 cap players in the lock department in the minute. But I have been enjoying Jed Holloway. I think he can also play flanker as well as lock. So, a bit of versatility there in terms of your team. Back row's competitive for this Australian team, to be fair. A lot of people that are really, really good taking up the same position. People like Rob Valentini, Pete Samu are going to be fighting out, I'm sure, for maybe that number 8 shirt. Fraser McWright and Michael Hooper, I believe, both play open side flanker, so those guys will be jousting it out. Rob Leota also plays flanker and 8, I think, for Rob Leota. So back row's looking very competitive. Nice to be seeing a good deal of experience and just general power in that back row. We know how much Eddie Jones utilised, English forwards when he was with England when he first started out to really make the most in a game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him try and add that little bit of spice into this Australian team, because their forwards are so dangerous, but for so long they were so sort of stuck on just using their forwards. I really hope the backs can get into it, because it was one thing I was enjoying last year, because the team was such sort of varied and so many injuries. We really got to see a lot of newer people explode into the team, so I'm hoping we get to see that again this year. In terms of the backs then, Quade Cooper back in the side. I did do a video talking about the Barbarians versus World 15 game. Quade Cooper looked good in that game. He was playing extremely well. I'm really liking the way they were just having open play. He was being able to judge things. Even if you had like a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 out on the wing, he was being able to visualize that there was space in the backfield, chipping over the top and having fast wingers to get on the end of it. For me, I would be starting Quade Cooper as your fly half. I'm not sure who a lot of other people would pick. Nick White's probably going to be my starting scrum half. I know Tate McDermott's also in there, but Nick White, I kind of like Nick White. I mean, then we had the whole incident last year about the mustache clip, if any of you remember that one. He went down holding his own face. Get rid of all that nonsense. But I kind of like his little bit of chirpiness that he just gives it back to a few people. I quite like that. It's like a proper scrum half for me. In terms of your centres, I guess you're looking at Foketi and Len Ikitau. Nice to see the Len Ikitau's in this side. He was, again, another one last year in the SUPERBRU. Was really getting into the scene, scoring big points last year. Your back three is interesting in this side, because I really don't know who's taking where. Reece Hodge, I know, can play fullback. I think he also plays fly half at like club level. I don't know who is going to be like the dedicated fullback for this Australia team. In terms of my wingers, I would really be looking at Koriobetti for the right wing, and Nawakanito Ase for the left wing. Hopefully I got that pronunciation right. I did try and learn last year. Still on low caps. But every game that I saw him in, I'm a betting man. I like putting bets on the side while I'm watching a game of rugby. Every game I saw him in, I was putting a bet on for him to score a try, even against Wales. And he did, because he's an absolute unit. He looks like he's a really difficult man to stop, and he gets over that try line. I'd be starting him on that left wing, Koriobetti on the right wing, and I don't know who takes fullback, in all honesty. There's a couple of names here that I'm also not particularly versed with, like Parise and Vunivalu in that right-hand side of that book there. I'm not entirely caught up with them, so forgive me for that one. Reece Hodge is the only one that stands out to me as like an outright. You could chuck him at fullback and he'd probably have a good game. He's got a decent boot on him. You go for the long-range penalties. He can also clear the line well. Maybe if Andrew Kellaway gets out of that rehab and comes back into the team, I know he can also play fullback, but I still, again, wouldn't have him as a dedicated fullback. He just can cover fullback. I would certainly see him more on the wing. But let me know who you guys would pick as your starting fullback for this Australia team, because it's one of the teams I am really looking forward to seeing in this Rugby Championship, to see how they get on versus, you know, the real top teams in the world. There's actually really big possibilities that matches that happen in this Rugby Championship will be quarterfinals and semi-final matches in the World Cup, you know, if that's how the pool stages work out for them. So I'm really looking forward to see how Australia get on. Hopefully they put out a good team and turn up with some really good performances, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one today. We do still have one video like this left to do. We're going to be checking out the Springboks team, as well as when the actual teams get announced for each game before the weekend, probably on Thursday, I imagine the teams will get announced. We will be doing the preview videos for those games as well, checking out the actual teams that have been announced to play as well. So make sure you are subscribed to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I will see you all next time, guys. Bye bye.